From your perspective, how did the raid come about?
It sounds from everything that we've seen in the press so far that U.S. intelligence had gotten tips from a couple different sources. One being the Syrian Kurds. They had provided some information about where Baghdadi was located. And also in Turkey, they had made an arrest, which provided some key information from Baghdadi's inner circle. And through all of that, they were able to piece together the location and put it under surveillance for quite some time in preparation for the raid.
Was this location somewhere that the intelligence community expected him to be?
So this location was surprising for Baghdadi because it's in what is considered sort of traditional al-Qaeda territory. Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State had split apart, and their affiliate in the region, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, known commonly as HTS, they were actually occupying that region. And for Baghdadi, who had been at war with this group, to be in that location was very surprising. There's already reports that it wasn't just the U.S. that was hunting out Baghdadi, it was also this al-Qaeda affiliate that was hunting them. But we should remember, this is the second time, both with bin Laden and Baghdadi, that he was found in a place where we weren't actually thinking that person was going to be, which is pretty remarkable for all of the search efforts that are going on. A lot of our assumptions were incorrect.
President Trump suggested that the operation against Baghdadi was bigger or in some ways potentially more significant than the one against bin Laden. How do you see the bin Laden operation to the Baghdadi operation?
President Trump's assessment is incorrect. Osama bin Laden did something that no terrorist at that time had done. He had attacked the United States on September 11, 2001. He had rallied affiliates all around the world. He had rallied people like Baghdadi under his banner and helped spawn a global network of terrorism. And that manhunt took a decade to really track down Osama bin Laden and remove him after the attacks, and he had been really out there for almost 2 decades. He's also still an inspirational figure today, bin Laden is. We're still looking at an al-Qaeda network globally. Baghdadi is new on the scene, highly prolific, and the Islamic State had really achieved many of the things that al-Qaeda had not. But the Islamic State's network is declining, and while still important, will probably never be able to sustain in the same way as al-Qaeda. Few people will probably remember Baghdadi as much as they remember bin Laden.
In some ways, ISIS has actually been fairly resilient. I mean, yes, the territory has been declining. They have weakened significantly, but they're still around. So how does the death of Baghdadi as the leader of ISIS impact ISIS operationally?
Baghdadi's death, the important thing to remember is he's really representative of an idea, which is jihadist ideology and the terrorism that spawns from it. We've been dealing with this for more than two decades at this point. And so that will continue on, but it will really be how will that mantle handled down. One, it could give an opportunity to al-Qaeda to once again sort of be seen as the leader of global jihad. They'd really been overtaken by the Islamic State under Baghdadi's mentorship and rule. And so will that now fall back to al-Qaeda? That's yet to be seen. But at the same point, we should be asking, will this transform into something else? The Islamic State only formed and broke away from al-Qaeda after bin Laden's death. We should now be wondering, with Baghdadi's death, will we see something very similar, where a lot of middle managers move up, they compete with each other, and they try and make their own brand or their own terrorist group moving forward?
Going back to Trump's press conference, President Trump mentioned several details of the operation that were fairly intimate. He talked about the aircrafts. He talked about several other details about how the U.S. Special Operations community went in to where Baghdadi was. As someone who's been deeply involved with the intelligence community, is it normal for that to happen? I mean, how much detail of the raid should President Trump be giving the public?
Normally for the president or any senior official, if they're going out in a briefing after a raid like this, they would have very specific parameters about what information they're going to reveal. And so that sort of operational detail is not really traditional, but at some points they will actually do that. There was a lot of talk about the bin Laden raid. Ultimately, many of the details were revealed over time, and that could be part of your public relations plan to actually send a message to your opponents. But this seems to be very undisciplined. The details are thrown around sort of willy-nilly. You couldn't really trust whether the president actually understood the details or maybe if they were even accurate, which then puts other officials in the administration in a backstep where they're trying to either verify a story that may be slightly off or not comfortable revealing details that the president sort of revealed in an ad hoc way. Usually this is very scripted. They know what they're going to reveal up front, and you usually want to protect as much as possible so that your opposing forces or future extremists or even other nation states don't know how you pulled off those operations. So it's highly unusual.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.